Kizer says she was defending herself when she shot and killed 34-year-old Randall Volar and set his house on fire in June of 2018. Kizer was just 17 years old at the time. Randy Volar was charged with child sex abuse and was out on bail at the time of his death. Kizer's mother says the prosecutor knew about Volar's alleged activities, but did nothing to stop him.
He had evidence. The fact that it took for her to do something because she got tired of it. And he trying to like sweep the whole problem under the rug, but it's so much more bigger than just her.
But District Attorney Michael Gravely says Kizer killed Volar because she wanted to steal his car and then bragged about the killing on social media.
Where she is essentially bragging on a Facebook Live sort of telecast. She has a gun in her hand. She's waving that gun in her hand, and she is discussing how if somebody makes her mad, she'll shoot them like she shot someone previously, and there are people there trying to quiet her down.
Kizer's case has gained national attention, with celebrities like Alyssa Milano and Patricia Arquette calling for her release. Kizer faces life in prison if she's convicted of murder and arson.
My only thing is I want my child home, and it's messed up how everything happened.
Chrystul Kizer was a victim of sex trafficking, and the victim, the man she's accused of murdering, was the man who trafficked her. And the jury's going to hear about that, and she's going to be able to use that as part of her defense in the murder trial. Now, as you saw, there was a lot of support for Chrystul Kizer when she was locked up after the killing. She got out on bond. But you see this picture right here? This is a very recent photo. She was arrested in Louisiana after being on the run for 2 weeks after a domestic incident while she was out on bond. So now she's locked up. She's got a trial coming up scheduled on June 10th. But how is this going to impact everything now? She was out on bond and was, you know, everyone was looking at her as the victim, and the jury's going to know that she's a victim of sex trafficking. I haven't seen that Facebook video that the prosecutors talked about. We'll see it at the trial. But let's bring back in our think tank, Kirk Nermy, Eklund Mercy, and Philip Dubé. Eklund, what are your thoughts about this latest development? I know we've talked about this case in the past. I think a lot of people agree that it's going to be a pretty strong defense, a sympathetic defendant, but does this change the equation at all? Now that she's got new charges involving some domestic incident, she flees and runs for 2 weeks, gets arrested down in Louisiana.
I don't think so. I think if you know that anybody, any victim of like kidnapping or sex trafficking, when you get them out, it's you're dealing with the effects of that. You're not getting the same person that went in, and the adjustment to regular home life is a daunting one. So the fact that she was bonded out, yes, we want her home, but if it's not therapeutically driven, if she's not getting help, if she's not getting, if she's not getting counseling to deal with the PTSD of what happened, if she's not getting, the medication or the counseling to make sure that she's prepared mentally, emotionally, physically for trial, that's a thing, because she's still a defendant who has to defend herself from killing her suspected rapist, not only her rapist, but her trafficker. So the emotional turmoil that she has to deal with, and we're putting this on a child. So it makes sense that she would have issues at home, especially if they are not prepared to deal with the levels of, trauma that she's dealt with.
Philip Dubé, and Eklund's right. I mean, when all this happened, she was a child. When she was trafficked, she was very young. And we're looking at these images when she was first arrested. You can see she still looks young there. But this is now years ago. She's getting older and older. And, you get a little bit older, you start to grow a little bit. Do you think that will impact the way the jury sees her as they look at her as what she looks like now versus that younger child who was trafficked?
I don't think so, Vinny. I don't see Grandma Moses in her face. I still see a baby. I feel so sorry. This is a child to me. Really. And I think a jury is going to empathize. And I think they can look back in time and recognize that she was still a kid back then. She's just a few years older. I mean, we're carrying on as if it's been a generation. I think at the end of the day, what she's going to have to show the jury is that she was defending herself against a forcible rape, either a rape by him or being forced to be raped by others for a pittance. That is an atrocious felony. It's a violent offense against which you can use deadly force. And assuming she can prove that underlying need to use self-defense, I think it's a great defense for her. And if she has proof that she was in fact trafficked, that she was a sex worker, and she was under his thumb, and there was the threat of violence if she didn't perform to his satisfaction or in the volume that he expected, I don't think a jury's going to find him sympathetic. I think the least talked about person in the room is going to be that victim. Nobody will shed a tear for him.
Kirk Nurmi, I've reserved my thoughts about this because the biggest piece of evidence I believe that prosecutors are relying upon in all of this is that Facebook video. I haven't seen it. I don't know what she says. I don't know how she appears. Do you think, we know what we know, do you think this video could be incriminating enough to discount the sex trafficking and have a jury believe that this was in fact a murder?
I don't think so at all. I'm going to go so far. This man is not a victim. The jury is not going to consider him a victim. They're going to consider him a pedophile and a sex trafficker. And with the Wisconsin Supreme Court has already said she is entitled to use that defense related to her actions that day. And this video, you know, Vinny, excuse me, this video it's so repugnant to me that the prosecutor is using this video is so disconnected to the trauma that someone suffers when they go through sex trafficking and child abuse to say, well, she did this video and she was waving a gun around and she was bragging. She was a child experiencing trauma and trying to, in one sense of the word, protect herself from going back to environments like that. And to use that as an instrument of prosecution to me is just repugnant to every sense of justice and decency, and I hope this case finds a way to get thrown out before it ever reaches a jury.
Well, June 10th is the trial date. My guess is we will go forward on June 10th, and it looks like Chrystul Kizer will likely be locked up until June 10th. She has to be extradited first from Louisiana, but of course we'll stay on top of every development.